Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and today we're going to be taking a look at a brand new LEGO Dream set. This is Mr. Oz's Spacebus. It is part classic space spaceship, part school bus, all awesome, and I cannot wait to showcase this on review. On the back of the box, we have some rebuild alternatives for the set itself. You can take the standard bus and turn it into the spaceship with rocket engines, or even mount a massive cannon on the back, which is a really creative usage of parts. Overall, I can't wait to jump into this, but also check out the channel for more LEGO Dreamzzz reviews, including a mega review of every single one of the brand new LEGO Dreamzzz sets, and individual reviews of each one of the sets themselves. And so, without further ado, let's jump on into the bus.
This is set number 71460, Mr. Oz's Spacebus, retailing for $100 or €100. The set comes with a number of different figures, not all of which are minifigures, and 878 pieces, most of which just go into making the entire bus itself. Like all LEGO Dream sets, the instruction manual for this is actually one of the coolest LEGO instruction manual experiences that they've done so far. Not only is the front cover a really nice specialized art piece showcasing the set itself, but the entire build is summarized by a story, where as you build different things and the characters themselves, it feels like the building process is telling a story in and of itself, which is something I find to be really, really interesting. This is a concept that they pioneered with LEGO Ninjago Core, but didn't really fully flesh out until just with LEGO Dreamzzz, where every single step of the instructions, as you make minifigures, as you open different bags and do different parts of the builds, can actually be factored into the story that you're building. Now, like all the LEGO Dream sets, the Spacebus can be built in two different ways. The first one is the main one with some jet engines on the side, guns on the side, and a radar dish, whereas the other build forgoes the jet engines and instead makes a giant cannon on the top of the ship, as well as a side-mounted flyer-type vehicle that kind of almost looks like a big jetpack to be flown as a separate craft. Obviously, I just built the one that made the most sense because actually all the parts mostly just go into these, whereas these bits and pieces here are just kind of standalone stuff, but you can take a look at the extra parts available, whereas a lot of these sets, if they have alt builds, they do actually have extra parts. Of course, at the end of each build, you do have a really nice piece of artwork that showcases what that build looks like and what you can do with the different types of building experiences to really enhance the play experience, and that is easily the best thing about the building process for LEGO Dreamzzz. In case you're curious, the alternate build for the set included a number of extra pieces, and here's a look at all of the extra pieces included in this particular set, which I found to be pretty interesting because LEGO doesn't typically just randomly include extra pieces, but they do it a ton for these sets because there are a lot of alternate builds, and there's actually quite a number of different pieces added just to make the alternate builds work. Moving into the set itself, though, we can take a brief look at the minifigures. This set actually has quite a lot of exclusive minifigures and characters, whereas most of the Dreamzzz minifigures appear in a lot of the other sets. This does actually feature characters who, as of right now, are exclusive to the set itself. The first one, obviously, is not exclusive. This is Mateo. He is the main kind of protagonist, or at least one of the main protagonists of LEGO Dreamzzz. He is featuring a brand new hairpiece they made just for this character, although it did appear in black early for the Icons of Play set. Got a dual molded expression there with vitiligo, which is a really nice touch because obviously in the Dream world he has colored it green. You have some green streaks in the hair itself. A nice little flowing fabric cape that is shaped almost like a leaf. You can see some detail on the back there, dual molded legs which look really good, and even a recolor of the LEGO Batman movie belt element in green, as well as a full-on brick-built pencil and hourglass which is dual molded in clear and gold. The exclusive minifigure in the set is Mr. Oz here. Obviously this is his Spacebus, and this is actually a really interesting character to get. You just have the one face, no alternate face, but I don't think you really need another one. This is a really specialized new beard element created just for LEGO Dreamzzz and just for this character. I think it looks really good on the character itself. You have that 3D mustache which just looks so much fun, and he also is utilizing the LEGO Collectible Minifigure Series 8 Space Marine armor suit, which is really interesting because we haven't actually seen this piece in use for quite a few years, so I'm surprised they still had the mold. Underneath the armor, you can see what the torso looks like. Obviously, he has the Dreamcatchers or the Dream Chasers logo on the center of the chest there, although I'm still waiting on getting a regular civilian minifigure of Mr. Oz because, of course, his civilian version in the show has the classic space logo on his jacket, which I'm sure would be very, very useful if we ever got it as a physical LEGO set, which, I don't know, maybe we might in the future get some civilian variations of the minifigures. We'll have to see. The other exclusive character that goes alongside Mr. Oz is his monkey here. This is one of kind of the other sides of his personality, which is a really interesting one to get as a small figure. LEGO has introduced a new small character mold for these particular Dream sets. Who knows if he'll appear outside any other themes, but here's what the head looks like, just a standard one with the fishbowl on the top, kind of that Mysterio effect, and I just think it is a really cool looking, fun character that is very memorable from the show itself. Logan also appears for the only time so far in the set in his kind of dreamlike monster form. This is interesting because we still do not have a normal minifigure of Logan. We just have this kind of almost gremlin-style creature who just is what he transforms into on occasion to fight. It's interesting to get him as a character like this. You've got two alternate expressions, kind of an angry one and a happy one, which I think fit the character really well. I'm just really curious if we'll ever get him as a minifigure, but I'm sure that's coming very soon in the next wave, and they're just kind of holding off and making him exclusive in this form for now. Finally, on the hero side, we have Z-Blob in this humanoid form, which honestly I'm not the biggest fan of, at least for how he's portrayed in the show. In the show, he really is just kind of an oval blob, which they have portrayed in the other sets. The Nightmare Shark ship does have a recolored Bionicle Baraki eye, which feels perfect for Z-Blob. This one with arms and hands and legs feels a little bit weird to me because he never really assumed this form in the show, but I guess it's fair enough for a set, and maybe for the second season he'll actually make this actual form, so I guess it makes sense. He does also have a vine which he can use to grapple onto pieces, which is the full bendy flexible material, and this slime piece is actually reused from LEGO Video, which makes a lot of sense. Lastly, for the villain representation, we have one of the main Nightmare Spawn. This is kind of the Grim Spawn right here, Susan. Susan has a specialized dual-molded headpiece, which feels like the natural evolution of the Ninjago Possession Ghost, dual-molded in black and trans pink. The eyes underneath look really menacing, but also kind of in a cute way, and the wings are the recolored Shima bat wings from LEGO Elves. One of my favorite parts of the set, though, is that they include minifigures that are references to classic LEGO themes. First of all, we have this character here named Denny, obviously a reference to the LEGO movies Benny. This is a really funny one. It's kind of an evil classic spaceman. A lot of people initially were thinking that the black helmet was new for black in classic space, but this was actually recolored in black back in 2020 for the LEGO Mickey Mouse icon set for his nose, but it is still really cool to officially get this kind of as a classic space helmet, and this is just the first. Next, we have Flight Knight, who is a reference to the Fright Knights from LEGO Castle back in the day, Vintage Castle. Obviously, this is the castle representation for this theme, and they all have these little propellers to fly and keep up with a spaceship, which is pretty funny. From there, we've got Captain Bedbeard, obviously a reference to Captain Redbeard. Very, very funny how they have this representation for LEGO Pirates here, and he also has a propeller to be able to fly alongside the characters. Lastly, we have Proper Chopper. This one isn't necessarily a reference to an original LEGO theme. It's kind of like a steampunk-esque vibe to it, but I guess maybe you could say like this is kind of like a vintage era of town or something like that, but I just really find it funny how they actually have representation from classic LEGO themes assaulting Mr. Oz's Spacebus, because obviously in the show, I think that he is clearly supposed to be a fan of original vintage LEGO themes, so I think it's fitting that the dream nightmare creatures that are chasing him are also representations of the actual classic LEGO themes, but evil. But now we can take a look at the actual set itself, and this is the bus. So I find it interesting how for two original LEGO themes, we had a school bus-centric set as kind of the main mode of transportation, with Hidden Side and now this, although this feels more like a spaceship and less like a school bus, which is an interesting mashup. This kind of feels like LEGO was trying to do something that felt like it evoked the style of classic space. Obviously, if you look at the logo, that is just the classic spaceship logo going around the Dream Chasers logo itself, so I think they clearly knew what they were doing for having this set be like this. It is very swooshable, I will say that. Like, this is so much fun to fly around. Even the shaping feels kind of like it evokes the style of classic space. You have this very triangular-like wingspan here with the wings going on outwards. I just really like how this feels like a mashup of a few different things, and obviously the color scheme being this blue, black, and white kind of reminds me a bit of Space Police 3 and Futuron, but obviously with a bit of a twist with the azure being included as well. Now, there's actually quite a lot of things you can do with the set itself, and for spaceship fans, this is definitely going to be a good one. First of all, the entire cockpit can rotate upwards, and what you can do is you can seat Mr. Oz in the front there, so you can have him be piloting, but then you also can have his co-pilot sitting in the back there, and it is just on a 1x1 stud, so you can really be able to fit the monkey in there. Let me see if we can get him to sit in. You probably need to put him in first before putting Mr. Oz in. There we go. Him holding the wrench does not make it easy, but there you go. Now you have both characters sitting in the front cockpit. There's also another seat for Logan in the back there, so you have full seating for everyone. That just closes all the way up. And then you can rotate on the side here, and the entire sides of the school bus itself open, with space for actually a lot of minifigures, because there's a good number of seats here. You can put 1, 2, 3, another minifigure character there, so there's space for basically the entire gang to sit inside of the ship, which I think is really nice. There's also space to store their weapons, so there's a lot of clips on the sides of the walls in case you want to store the accessories and weapons from all of the characters, which I think is just a really nice touch to be able to mount the accessories on the side of the bus there. And then overall you can see that there is a nice sticker on the inside that kind of showcases the flight capabilities of the spaceship itself. Close this back up. You have this piece which can rotate back and forth for kind of the radar dish or satellite. And then, much like the original LEGO classic spaceships, you gotta have a rover to be deployed from the back. So this goes downwards, and then if you're careful with it, come on, you can kind of roll it out. You have a full-on rover, which can then be deployed with arms to grab whatever to be able to traverse the different terrain. So I think that this is a really nice homage to kind of classic LEGO space stuff without explicitly being a direct reference. Obviously, they're tying together a lot of different things into the set itself, but it is supposed to be a spaceship. It is the Spacebus, after all. So you take the inside of a school bus, or kind of the cutout halves of a school bus, and transplant it onto the spaceship itself, which is just so much fun to play around with. I really like the visuals and the color scheme of this. Initially, I wasn't quite sure how the yellow of the school bus would really work with the spaceship itself, but it actually feels a lot more creative and imaginative than I would have imagined. It feels like it does make sense to have the keyed orange or flame yellowish orange be included. And one thing you'll also notice is that this set also came with an additional sticker sheet, or a set of stickers, where there wasn't a particular specific place to put all the stickers, but it came with a ton of extra stickers, so I went ahead and stuck them on the side of the school bus, because I felt like it made the most sense to attach these extra stickers in a somewhat random seeming fashion to kind of bring out that vibe that this is a lived-in vehicle. Overall, this is a really fun set to play around with. I like the color scheme. The rebuild options are great, and it's really easy to rebuild because you can just pop the engines off, pop the guns off, and you kind of have it in the standard configuration there. Then you can take these apart, build them into something else, and just put them back on like so. So there's a lot of good play possibilities to continue to rebuild the set into different things. Getting the minifigures of Mr. Oz and the gang are very cool as well. The only thing that I feel like is a little bit lacking here is the price. Unfortunately, a lot of the larger LEGO sets for Dreamzzz were fairly priced, except for this one. $100 feels a little bit high for a set like this. Obviously, it is a decent sized spaceship, like you can do a lot with it and switch it around. I don't know though, it definitely feels like it should be closer to maybe $80, I would say, and that's a pretty big discount. I mean, that's $20 off. Especially looking at the piece count, like it's 800 some pieces, it feels more like it should be worth 80. I can see 85 and 90 would have been a stretch, but for $100, I don't know if this is worth it. It's a really fun set and I like the build, but unlike other stuff like the Nightmare Shark Ship or even the Treehouse, where I do feel like the prices are very worth it, this definitely feels like you're getting a slightly worse end of the deal. Especially because you only basically get 2 standard minifigures, only one of which is exclusive to the set itself. Yes, you get a lot of characters, but they're not quite minifigures. Like, I would say, like, maybe 2 of these is worth 1 minifigure or 3, but it's not really quite the same as getting more figures. And it would have been cool to even just get the human form of Logan to be able to transform him back and forth. I think that would have been a nice touch. Maybe even just throwing Izzy in here as well, or one of the other characters. But as it stands right now, $100 feels just a little bit too high for what you're getting. And that's just how I feel though. Obviously, big fan of the set. I like the build. I think it's a really solid build. There's a lot of fun stuff to do with it. I like the aesthetics of it. The spaceship-like design is very cool. I'm very partial to LEGO spaceships because I love LEGO Space. It was my favorite theme, or one of my favorite themes growing up, so definitely a big fan of how this looks. But overall, I do feel that the price is just a bit high for what you're getting. That's all I have for this review. Thanks for taking a look at Mr. Oz's Spacebus.
Alright, and with that, we have summed up our look at Mr. Oz's Spacebus. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of the set? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? What do you think of LEGO Dreamzzz as a whole? Thank you so much for tuning into Duck Breaks. Be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon, and bye for now.